Good morning. I missed you last week. Thank you. That's the good answer. Thank you. We've been studying prosperity and metaphysics all year, but this summer is special, prosperity. And there are two metaphysical teachers from the 40s and 50s that really are not recognized for the wisdom of their teachings. And I was fortunate to come across a recording of one of their early teachings, and I share it with you now.
Well, Costello, I'm going to New York with you. You know, Bucky Harris, the Yanks manager, gave me a job as coach for as long as you're on the team.
Look, Abbott, if you're the coach, you must know all the players.
I certainly do.
Well, I never met the guys, so you'll have to tell me their names, and then I'll know who's playing on the team.
Oh, I'll tell you their names, but you know, strange it may seem, they give these ball players nowadays very peculiar names.
You mean funny names?
Strange names, pet names, like Dizzy Dean and
His brother Daffy?
Daffy Dean.
I'm their French cousin.
French?
Gouffet.
Gouffet Dean, oh, I see. Well, let's see, we have on the bags, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
That's what I want to find out.
I say, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
Are you the manager?
Yes.
You going to be the coach, too?
Yes.
And you know the fellow's name?
Oh, I should.
Well, then who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who?
The guy playing
Who
first.
is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
That's it.
That's who?
Yes.
Look, you got a first baseman?
Certainly.
Who's playing first?
That's right.
When you pay off the first baseman every month, who gets the money?
Every dollar of it.
All I'm trying to find out is the fellow's name on first base.
Who?
The guy that gets the
That's
money.
it.
Who gets the money on
He
first
does, every dollar. Sometimes his wife comes down and collects it.
Whose wife?
Yes. What's wrong with that?
Look, all I want to know is when you sign up the first baseman, how does he sign his name to the
Who?
contract? The guy.
Who?
How does he sign his
That's
name?
how he signs it.
Who?
Yes.
All I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first base?
No, what is on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
One base at a time.
Well, don't change the players.
I'm not changing nobody.
Take it easy, buddy.
I'm only asking you, who's the guy on first base?
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, what's the guy's name on first base?
No, what is on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
Oh, he's on third. We're not talking about him. Now, let's forget about
Now, how did I get on third base?
Why, you mentioned his name.
If I mention a third baseman's name, who did I say is playing third?
No, who's playing first?
What's on first?
What's on second?
I don't know.
He's on third.
There I go, back on third again.
Love
When you
it.
stay on third base
All
and don't go off it.
All right, I don't even know.
Now, who's playing third base?
Why do you insist on putting who on third base?
What am I putting on
Oh,
third?
what is on second?
You don't want who on second?
Who is on first?
I don't know. Third
Third
base.
base.
Look, you got out.
Remember when Costello started the conversation? He so wanted to understand. Remember? He said, I want to do a good job. It's like when we're coming into life, we want to do life well, yes? And we want to understand. And he's asking someone who should know. So he's asking Abbott, and Abbott is doing his best to explain. The thing is, he was using terms and concepts that were totally foreign to Costello. Happened to you? Mm-hmm. You want to know something? You want to learn something new, especially when you get into the spiritual realm, but even when you go to a new job and you want to understand, and they might be giving you different terms and different ways of looking at things. And you go, I don't know how to do this. I don't understand. And you keep asking, show me, show me. And the thing is, just as Costello was getting more and more frustrated as the conversation continued, that happens to us, doesn't it? Yeah, it's like, please, I just want to know. I want to know. And that is so like the spiritual journey. Unless I'm the only one in this room and out there that has ever experienced frustration in trying to understand something new, some new concept. And I just don't get it. I want to know, I want to know. Won't someone show me? And our teachers do show up. And we still don't get it. Now, in Abbott and Costello's case, they took the game of baseball and ended up giving us an incredible metaphysical metaphor. In just a few short minutes, they explain our life's experience. So remember the players' names. The name of the first baseman? Who? Second? What? Third? I don't know. And it makes me wonder if the writer of this skit had ever read Imelda Shanklin's book, What Are You? Shanklin talks about who. And the who is the personal. The who is that which you can see. You know, the events that occur, the conditions around you. The interpretation you put on things, the emotions that you create, the thoughts. You know, that's part of the who, the ego. And so much is based on outer conditions. And I've got to do it myself. And then we move to the what. What's on second? And it may sound impersonal. And when I first looked at that, I thought, well, you know, when you go up to somebody, you know, do you say, what are you? No, you don't do that. Hey, who are you? But the thing is, we really would like to know the what, wouldn't we? And the what is the unseen. It's the indwelling Christ that is within each one of us. It's the, you know, whereas the who is very changeable, the what is constant. It's that immutable law of God. So you might think in terms of the weather. You know, the who could be like the weather in Missouri. If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes and it'll change, right? And the what is like the weather here in Las Vegas. 364 days of boring sunshine. So if you want to plan a picnic, you could go a year out and be pretty sure, very sure, that in 1 year, that the weather is going to be perfect for you. Yes? So that's like the what. You can always count on it. Now, Shanklin tells us that the error in our minds that causes us to assume the who, when we should recognize the what, is a source of every misunderstanding in life that perplexes you. All right, so it's here again. The error in our minds that causes us to assume the who, when we should recognize the what, is a source of every misunderstanding in life that perplexes you. In short, when we forget who's on first and what's in second, then we end up with, I don't know, on third. When you get to the I don't know, that's where the confusion, that's where where people get frightened. And we see a lot of fear in the world today. People living in that I don't know. And it's in, where we have to take a leap of faith. When we're in the what, we have to take a leap of faith, even if we don't know. So when we look at our ball game of life, we might think, what's the use? What I love about baseball, it is, I think, the only game where you start out at the beginning, right? So you're up at bat. I won't do it, but no, you come up there later. I practiced. It wasn't pretty. Now, mind you, baseball was the first game I ever played. We played softball in Bacchus's Field. If you hit it into the weeds, it was a home run. And I got pretty good, especially because they never expected a girl to hit it very hard. So, all the guys would come in and I'd hit it over their heads. And that was the last time I would make it around, because then they got smart and they went out. But anyway, so you get up there, you're at home plate, and you look out. It's like, wow, okay, I'm here. I mean, this is where I'm starting. It's like starting where we are from that perfect Christ self when we come into this world. I mean, when you look into the eyes of an infant, what do you see? You see that beautiful innocence and perfection of God. Why not stay there? Why do we keep going? I mean, have you ever wondered, why should I bother? But we get up there, don't we? And we hit it. Now, some people bunt. Others, they go full out. And the first place we get, where do we get? We get on first base. I mean, as we grow up, isn't that where we live? The who? And we are surrounded by people who are trying to teach us. And they're teaching us the outer, very much so. Even when we go to church, and those of us who were raised in traditional church or religious organizations, where was God? Out there. So even then, it was outside of ourselves. So the who can be a very difficult place. Where it really gets difficult, though, is when you try to live there and stay there. Because when when circumstances start happening, you're not sure what to do. And you get stressed. And what happens is then, to be forced into moving to the next base, the what? It's like, I don't know how to do this. Third base. But Shanklin tells us our hope of achievement is that the who is changeable, so there is the promise of achieving the what. So that we can get to that consciousness of the God within, of that Christedness that we are. Now we get caught up, though, every now and then, right? We're standing at home base. And it's like, there's something you really want to do. Have you ever had some dream, a vision for yourself? Vision for your family, for your company? And you're going, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, that's okay. And then we start to doubt. And that monkey mind, that mental mischief comes up. And you're almost afraid to swing. I think that's why a lot of people bunt. They get afraid. But we go forward. It's just part of our human nature always to move forward, to move from base to base. And there are so many figures in the Bible that go through the same experience. One of my favorites is Moses. Powerful man, right? And you know the story. Pharaoh ordered the killing of all the boys under 5, was it? And so Moses' mom, all newborn male children. So Moses' mom hid him for 3 months. And then with great trepidation, she put him, remember, in the reed basket and put him in the river. And Moses' sister was watching. She followed down the river and saw that Pharaoh's daughter discovered Moses. So Pharaoh's daughter takes out this beautiful baby boy. She's like, yeah, this is mine. And Moses' sister goes up and says, oh, you found this beautiful baby. Maybe you need a nurse for the baby. I know someone, a nursemaid. Shall I bring her? And Pharaoh's daughter said yes. So Moses' sister went home and got Moses' mom, and Moses' mom got to help raise Moses. So he ended up being raised in true traditions. He was raised in the Pharaoh's household. He was raised to be a leader. They didn't quite know what kind of a leader they were raising, though, did they? But he was also raised with the Jewish tradition because his mom was there. And you see, Moses should have been killed. He should not have been there, right? And for the first 40 years, he lived in what I would call first base. You know, even though he's educated and powerful, he was still living in the ego, and it was very much governed by outer conditions. Do you see that? Yeah, life is good. Look at me, I'm important. I'm in Pharaoh's household. And then one day he was out in the community, and he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. And the only way he could stop it was by killing the Egyptian. And then he hid the Egyptian, right? He tried to hide it. Ever have that happen to you? You do something, I don't want anybody to see. You know, it's like, I still remember I broke an ashtray. The dog did it. My mother actually believed me. I think it was the only time I got away with that. But anyway, so the thing is, somebody did see him and reported it to Pharaoh. Moses fled for his life. So he was forced off of first base. Does that happen to you? You're there, you're all comfortable in the ego, and it feels good, life is good, you have everything you want. And then usually, what? A crisis happens, and you're forced off. Not a lot of people leave voluntarily. It's either emotional crisis, a spiritual crisis, a condition-based crisis. You lose your home, you lose your spouse, whatever it is. You know, someone dies tragically. You're forced off of first base and forced to the what? And Moses had nothing. He fled with the clothes on his back. And he came upon a shepherd, the daughter of the shepherd at the well. She took him home. And they took them into their family. He married the daughter. He became a shepherd himself. And during this period, he was going through the what? Can you imagine being out there in the desert watching the sheep and being able to be with yourself, to be introspective, and to really get in touch with God? And you might think that's a great place to stay. You know, why not stay on second base? You know, this is kind of cool. You know, and actually, it feels better than first base, doesn't it? Because you've got a peace within you and a newfound strength. And I would imagine that's where Moses was. And he was doing well. He was doing well. Had a family. And again, life is good. Then what happens? He got a call. Ever get a call? Yes, it's good. I'm going to stay here. And then there's a call to service. And this call came from that darned burning bush. And it was God speaking. And God speaks to us in so many different ways. Sometimes it's a yearning from within. Sometimes it's someone outside saying, you know, this is something you need to look at. It might be another crisis. It comes in all guises. But we always get the call. And, you know, it's like, do you ever go to that place? Yes, but. Moses sure did. God said, you know, go and save my people. Moses going, well, that's a nice idea. Yes, but. I stutter. And God said, well, your brother can speak for you. And Moses was, well, I don't even know your name. How am I going to go out to these people and tell them that some unnamed God that you never heard of, really, is telling you to, you know, first of all, to Pharaoh, let my people go. Ha! And then when I talk to the people, what am I going to say? And God responded, I am that I am. Now get off it, Moses, and get on with it. Ever gotten those messages? Just get off it, get on with it. All that monkey mind, that mental mischief, that chatter of why you can and cannot do something, should and should not do something. Yeah, just get on with it. Move forward. And that's what Moses did. And he entered into the land of, I don't know. And that's the place. How often do you worry about how you're going to do something? And that's one of the things that holds you back. And that's the beauty of the teachings. If you are clear enough with your vision, with your goals, the how will take care of itself. You become a magnet for all the resources that you need. They will be revealed to you as you need them. And if you think back when you had a passion and you had a clear vision and you didn't know how, it did unfold. If you really look at it, it's becoming aware with what is there for you. And yes, Moses did free the slaves. I mean, they talked about the plagues last week in Sunday school, and there were many. Moses didn't worry about how he was going to do that. God took care of it. God took care of the how. And then they were free. And then they had their Red Sea experience. We've all had that, yes? I mean, we free ourselves and we get there and it's like, I'm sorry, you want me to cross what? When? Yeah, and the Hebrews wanted to go back to Egypt. Even though Egypt represented the darkness, represented the total suppression of all of their spiritual and temporal rights and understandings. They still wanted to go back to misery because it was the known. And if you haven't done that, you all know people who have. People in abusive relationships, right? Because they don't have any clue. And then it's like, yeah, I could be free. And then it comes up to the Red Sea. How on earth can I do this? But Moses had enough faith for all of them. And he said, do not be afraid. Stand firm and see the deliverance that the Lord will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall never see again. So the Egyptians, remember the darkness, the doubt, the fears, the limitation. You'll never see them again. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to keep still. So keep still. Be still and know that I am God. Go within and draw forth from that power that is God. And the barrier of the Red Sea parted. Moses had enough faith for all of them. Do not be afraid. Stand firm. See the deliverance that the Lord will accomplish for you today. And that's how we get through, the I don't know. But the thing is that they were living in I don't know for a long time, right? 40 years, wandering the desert. So Moses, he went from who's on first, what's on second, I don't know on third. So the desert, complaining, murmur, 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 right? Nothing was good enough. Always wanted something more. God provides manna. And then they get greedy, right? So here's daily, I'm going to provide you. And they would try to hoard it. And what happens? The next day, it's rotten, right? So it's God will provide, use the resources for what they're meant to be used for. the water, striking the rock and water pouring forth. All of their needs provided for. So basically, even though they had been given the opportunity, they were actually still stuck on first base of the who and the whining and the kvetching. And why did they need to be there 40 years? Why do they need to be there 40 years? To leave the old thinking behind. That generation, that old thinking had to die out. You get it? That old thinking had to die out before they could move on. And not even Moses was allowed into the promised land. Remember that? Now, did that seem fair? Moses was not allowed to come back to home base. Only Joshua and one other were allowed. All the others died out. The old consciousness. And the ones who were allowed into the promised lands were the ones who were able to go through those bases, go through the who, break through, make it to what's on second. To have that spiritual consciousness become centered and part of them. And to go through that disturbance of the I don't know. So they could come back to home base. So imagine this for your life. How many times you start out here, it's like, yeah, I can do this. And you go to first base, and it looks good, and you're in your who. And it might even be, yeah, look at me, I'm hot. And that might be true. However, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the outer? Is it coming from conditions? Or is it coming from that assuredness, from second place, that Christ center in you, that God working within you? And just know that once you get to second base, to the what, can't stay there. Because there's still going to be a call. Always the call for something higher and greater for yourself. And to get there is often means going through the I don't know of third base. And then finally coming home. At the Red Sea, Moses said, do not be afraid, stand firm. Later on in Isaiah, when Isaiah was talking to the people, he said, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned. For I am the Lord your God, and I love you. And what's also in the quotation is, you are precious in my sight and honored, and I love you. Allow that to wash over you. Allow that to sink in, all right? You are precious in my sight and honored, and I love you. I have called you by name. You are mine. I have called you by name. You are mine. Ever felt lost? Nobody cared? Hear God saying, I am the Lord, your God. I have called you by name. I've redeemed you. If you walk through fire, you will not be burned. Okay? You're precious in my sight. I love you. Go to that place. That is your truth. That is your truth. That is what will bring you back to home base. And it's very simple to get back to home base. Follow God's law, universal principle. We teach it all the time. There are certain truth principles. There are laws. And when we follow them, then we will overcome. Then we will walk through the fire and not be burned. Then we will pass through the barrier of the Red Sea. So I want you to remember that when you're, playing the ball game of life, you can go full out. You can play with everything you have. It's okay. You can go up to home plate, and you can hit it full out.
Nice.
So let's join together. Next one.
Here we go. Take me out to the ball game called my life. Give me some wisdom and harmony. Christ in me is my destiny, so I'll root for my highest good. With God I'll win, it's assured. Oh, it's God, love, letting go as I triumph in life. Yes, it's God, love, letting go as I triumph in life. Yeah.
Woo, okay. So you're ready. Let's go find some of that truth for ourselves. So I invite you to sit back and relax. Breathe deeply. Breathing in the light and the love that is God, and allow it to fill every cell and tissue of your body. And any place where you might be feeling dis-ease, any pains, then allow that healing power and energy to flow through, restoring you to wholeness. And continuing to breathe deeply, relaxing your thoughts and your emotions, breathing in, again, that light and love of God, and anywhere that you might be feeling distress in your thoughts or your emotions. Again, allow that healing light of God, the love of God, to fill your thoughts and emotions, to fill your spirit, to fill your soul. And continuing to breathe deeply, breathing in God. This is your higher being, the highest and best that you are. This is our Creator. And breathe in that creative power. Remembering, God has called you by name. You have been called. Fear not, for God has redeemed you. When you pass through the waters, God is with you. When you walk through the fire, God, you shall not be burned. God is always with you. Your Lord, your God. You are precious in God's sight and honored. And God loves you. God loves you. I invite you to bring any doubts or fears that you might be experiencing this morning. Just something with your health or your job or your relationships. your finances. Fear not. You are the beloved of God. God has called you by name. Allow that knowing, that blessing to flow through you. And whatever might be troubling you, bring it forth now. And place it upon the altar of God. Release, let go. Let go of your who. Move into the what, the higher being that you are. Knowing that you are ready for that next phase of your journey back to home plate, back to that oneness with God. Knowing that, yes, sometimes you'll pass through the I don't know of third base. But always, always God is with you. Do you feel it? God is with you. And all that you placed on the altar for healing, for transformation. Now, see in your mind's eye the light of God transforming it. Transforming it all for your good. You are the light of the world. Do not place that light under a bushel. Let that light shine. And take on the mantle of the one who transforms the world into that higher vibration of love and light, of compassion, support. You are powerful beings. Know that you are transforming the world with every thought, with every word, with every action. And as a pebble in a still pond, the ripples flow out. So let's take this moment as we come back to this place in this time to call upon that full power and presence of God that you are, that light and love, and radiate it out to bless everyone within these sanctuary walls. And we send that blessing and that light and love down to our teachers and their children, and out to bless our Las Vegas community, where there's doubt and fear, raising the vibration to love and light and compassion. And again, because you are powerful beings, one with God, radiating that love and light out to our nation and to our world. And in those pockets of darkness, we know that darkness cannot survive when we shine the light on it. So shine your light, radiate your love, and know that the fear, the hatred, doubts, feelings of helplessness and hopelessness are being transformed by your light and your love. And you have touched the heart and soul and spirit of at least one person in this world. That's how powerful you are. You've never met them, but they are transformed. And again, thus we change the world, one light, one thought, one word, one action at a time. And let us proclaim it with very simple, hallelujah, hallelujah.